The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. The harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. I said you're up and I'm up. Y'all now tuned into the Grind Hard Dream Big Show. I'm here with...
Kayla Moore.
Okay, Miss Kayla. I think what I know about Miss Kayla is she's a concerned citizen out here in the DMV. Am I correct?
You are correct.
Okay. How are you feeling spiritually, mentally, physically, and emotionally?
Drained, but I am here, and alongside being the co-founder and director of community outreach for concerned citizens, first I'm an educator.
Okay.
I educated in Prince George's County. Now I'm Southside in DC. So yes.
Okay. So education, childhood. How was that? Like, how did that lead to education? How did it lead to the work that you do today? And I know that's big and deep.
Yeah, so it's a timeline to it. First, I have educators in my family. I have to always give respect to my cousin Linda, my cousin Aida. They were educators. They took me. I was 12 years old at Tuskegee Homecomings, so they gave me that enlightenment as educators as well. But I'm a pure Measy, so going to school in Prince George's County and then going to school in Charles County, I saw the differences within the school system myself. Being in high school in Charles County, I was able to obtain, it was the smallest of teaching degrees as an assistant aide by the time I graduated, and literally I've been teaching since 2010.
That's a long, ooh.
I know, I got a decade in.
Yeah, I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
So how did that really make you feel, and like, what were the gaps where you felt like, all right, you know what, this is really me. Like, this is what I really have to do. Because I know some people, they, may work a job or something like that, but may not have the passion for it. So when did the passion really, fuel you to be like, all right, you know what, I really got to do this. This got to really be me.
Well, like I said, I started in high school, and I just didn't stop. And every time I was like, man, I'm tired of this. I'm about to do something different. I want more money. The more money was always the conversation, because we know teachers, we are not valued. We do not get paid enough. But every time an opportunity came for me to do something different, I still passed, especially if I wasn't able to work with children still. And that's how I knew, this is where I'm supposed to be. Even now, I had those days like, man, this might be my last year in teaching. But then I'll go to school next week, and it'll be a testimony from maybe one of my incarcerated parents, like, thank you so much. I'm hearing the progress of my child. Or just the students who I know aren't getting that same love and attention at home come to school and just be like, Miss Moore, I love you. I appreciate you. So that's what keeps me going.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Because, like I said, I see what you're doing, and it's it's very, very fun. I think you're making learning fun, right? With the kids or whatever you do, whatever you align yourself with, it's fun, it's purposeful, it's intentional, right? So I think with what you got going on, how do the kids gravitate to you, or what were some methods you had to really practice and do?
You just gotta be yourself.
Okay.
I used to give advice to the first-year educators in Maryland, and my biggest thing was autonomy and just being your full self. But also be stern, because I'm serious, but I'm going to say it with a smile on my face. And you're going to know I love you, but don't play with me.
Okay.
And that's, you see how you got to be stern. It's
right. I got you.
It's that hard love. And I think you were one of the people who comment to the videos, our kids are exposed to so many things that are inappropriate, so many things that are just adult-like. It's just inevitable.
Right.
For example, a song so ratchet. It's the GD anthem. It's like a down south gang. My kids got the GD student. My kids would not stop singing it, so I made a phonics song out of it. Now we got the A's coming through the door, and you got to say the sound. And they are hyped to do phonics every day because of that now.
That's cool.
And back to making education fun is really just being myself. Because I knew the song when they were singing it, and I'm like, yeah, I know the song Crank, but y'all cannot be in here singing this.
Exactly,
and if somebody was to walk in, I said, okay, now how do I make this age appropriate for you? And my biggest thing is I get bored easily. So if I'm bored, I know the kids are bored.
Right, exactly, right. And you want to have fun while learning. Yeah. And it's crazy how you said that, because, I know, what was it, the other day, I was just out and about, and I'm hearing kids just talk about, the Money Bag Yo song, the Waukesha song, and they literally thought it was about, a girl, and I'm like, nah, it's not about a girl. He's like, what are you talking about? It's about a girl. He's talking about, does she love me? Does she love me not? And I'm like, he's talking about lean, and he's like, oh, I didn't even know that. But like I said, the kids, they listen to so much, and it's like, wow, what do you do? But for you to make that
connection,
that connection, and be transparent with them too, that's pretty dope.
Yeah, because I'm like, I have a 5-year-old in my classroom talking about GDs. I said, what's that? She was like, letters. I said, you're right. You're right.
You have to remind yourself, like, okay, yeah.
You're right.
Yeah, for sure. So concerned citizens, like, what really nurtured this brand for you and this step for you?
Yes, concerned citizens demanding change. That's what the DC stands for. We do a lot of our work in DC.
Okay.
I always say we were built. We were formed in the heart of the big protests and movements after Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, George Floyd. But it didn't just stop there. So we were out. I was watching people loot. I was watching them run through Gucci. I was watching them run through the Tiffany & Co. What I saw at that time was a strong solidarity in our Black community. At that point, everybody was riding for each other, right? And so me and my org members came together. It was like, okay, how do we keep this energy but move it towards sustainable things in our neighborhoods? And just sustaining that energy in our Black community that we keep us safe, period. And so Concerned Citizens was developed. We have, shout out to Ty Hobson Powell, Sky Webster, Sean, Alea, Micah, Kyra. We were all very in-depth in our own work. And I say that as I've always been an educator, so I brought that to the table. Sky is big in sustainability and architects, so the housing crisis that's going on in D.C., she has that knowledge and what to do to help us move forward. She brought that to the table. Alea is a survivor of gun violence in Parkland, one of the biggest mass shootings in a high school. She brought that knowledge and that things to the table. Sean, global issues, like everybody brought something very unique to the table, and we put together our resources to create this thing. And right now we've been big on the community outreach part because, everybody was saying Black Lives Matter, let's do this, let's do that. But what can we do right now? Like, right. What can we really physically go and do right now to impact the people we going so hard for?
Yeah, that's true.
Because I could keep talking about how there's no hospital south side of Ward 8 east of the river, how shout out to Trey Young's. They just opened a grocery store today, another grocery store in Ward 8 today. We could keep talking about those things. I could keep saying how there's no real programming for the kids because there's no more parks and recs. There's no more real recreationals. Right. So instead of just keep talking about it and kept yelling, we started doing. We've had pumpkin smashes. We've cleared the block of Friday night, took the whole hood to King's Dominion. Shout outs
to that, by the way. I had to make sure that some of that money was going your way. And that's
Thank you, and I appreciate that. I saw your donation.
I was like, I had to make sure because I was like, oh, somebody taking the kids out.
Yeah,
all right, that's cool, and that's what they need though, because they just need a place to be themselves. They see so many things, and it's like, oh nah. I just want to get out. So
that trip for me was like. It regrounded me because it was young men on that trip I've never seen smile before. Wow. And were like smiling ear to ear. It was young men that I've never seen fear in their face, and they was cringing up on the roller coaster. Like it was just really cool to watch. I loved every moment of it because I truly loved them. Like I love the communities that I work with. So
that's dope. That's
we
dope.
Also have gardens, concerned citizens. We all over the place. We have gardens. We've connected with different schools. If you follow us on Instagram, Concerned Citizens DC, you can click our link tree. You can help support a garden. We're supporting schools due to COVID because Prince George's County is slacking and giving out these resources to schools and teachers. Yeah. So we are concerned about a lot.
Yeah, I think, but there's nothing wrong to be concerned because I feel like, all the information that, we receive is just like, is it trustworthy? You feel me? Or is it like, oh, okay, is it really, really going on? And I literally feel like because you have been in these neighborhoods in real time, you can literally say or see what's really, really going on because to hear the frustration, for people in the Ward 7, Ward 8 community, or not even there, but just in the DMV period, it's missing gaps and lacks of resources because our kids go through a lot. They do.
They do.
And they need us.
And I was just talking to one of my coworkers because I was saying the first quarter just ended and I've dealt with kids who've lost parents. A student of my school has been shot. kids have been evicted within like these first 3 months of school, and I'm like, dang, y'all done gone through a lot within 3 months, like more than I've gone through my whole life.
Right.
And it's like everyone talks about trauma-informed education, but what are our actions in that? You know, how are we really showing up for these kids? So that's something I think about a lot.
Yeah, I would too.
It's
because
heavy.
It's just like, it is heavy because, I mean, you talk about social and emotional learning, and, you know, it's a whole pandemic, and it's like a whole reset. So everybody has to reset. Everybody has to go back from, all right, you was doing whatever, and now you're back into, you know, this notion of structure or, you know, some, you know, foundation, you know. So I think what you do so well, and I applaud you for, is, you know, reward them in ways that they probably haven't been rewarded before, and just, you know, expose them, because I think that's the biggest thing. You know, the kids need exposure. You know, I know coming up, I ain't really had that much exposure. I've been places, but like knowing how the world is now, how technology is now, and things that, you know, are constantly moving, it's like, wow, you know, we just have to adapt. We have to adapt. They're exposed to so much with social media, TikTok, Instagram, you name it.
So
they
much
on
negative exposure.
That too,
Yeah.
right? So it's like how to be positive, how to take that controlled anger into a positive light.
Absolutely,
You know
and
what I'm
that kind of goes back to what I always was saying. My cousins grounded me from a young age because they gave me that exposure. I hated school, like hated school.
Wow.
And it wasn't until I was literally like 12 years old, Tuskegee campus, and I had such a ball. It was their homecoming, and then a couple of months later, Stomp the Yard dropped.
Yeah, I remember
and
that movie. That was a classic.
Movie was on Tuskegee. I was like, I've been in there. Like, it was the exposure
Yeah,
for
so
me.
you probably was geeked when that joint came out.
So
like, what?
I said, oh yeah, like I'm going to school. Like it was, I knew I was learning the multiplication. I said, no, I'm going to school.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
To me, that's my biggest thing. I call it global literacy.
Okay.
Is what I realized a lot of the kids that I mentor Southside, they haven't been, some of them haven't even been uptown. Like they really don't get out of their neighborhoods. And so how do I pull y'all out? And once I seen how fun King's Dominion was for them, just even on the ride there, the ride back, everybody was quiet. Like it was just so.
It's like I'm doing the field trip right now.
Everybody was just taking it in.
Like,
I know,
what?
right? I was like, man, planning
field
field
trip?
trips are not easy.
Nah,
As a
they're not.
teacher, as a
Planning is
community organizer, that's real organizing. Okay,
Right, yeah.
All these different personalities. It's always something. So that's my biggest thing is really how can I create global literacy? I've been trying to store in my brain. I'm trying to reach out to people if anybody knows grants, because that's the program that I would want to create, a global literacy. Let's get these kids out of here. Let's take them somewhere. Let's show them something they have not seen before.
Right, absolutely. I agree, because, I mean, you know, they need the exposure. Like, you know, we talk about financial literacy and things like that. Like, I know I ain't take that class before. I took entrepreneurship, and that was in high school.
And that was, you were lucky to have that.
Yeah, I was lucky to have that. Shout outs to Flowers High School because, you know, proud of them. But it's just the notion, I took that there, and it's like, okay, it's an entrepreneurship space now. Everybody's building businesses. Everybody's trying to do it. But, you know, we need the resources on how to do that and what we go through. So it's like, wow, it's so much. And, you know, just keeping them afloat with the news and the negativity that, you know, goes on. It's like, how do you cope? So we got to find more healthy outlets on how to do that. So you've really been through a lot. Your college experience, can you get into that too? Because I think that really makes you the woman that you are right here, right now in this space.
Absolutely. My college experience started my advocacy. So just going back all the way, like I said, I went to high school at North Point, and everyone thinks because that you're in Charles County, you have money. And that's not necessarily the truth. We were Black coming from Prince George's County. So, yeah, we weren't bad off, but by the time I graduated high school, I had 2 jobs helping my mom pay mortgage.
Wow.
So for me, college was a financial decision. And when we talk about financial literacy, a lot of young Black people don't understand financial literacy till them loans start hitting in college.
They'll spank you.
Yes. And
They
so
will.
I chose to go to community college first because I was paying for school out of pocket.
Okay.
And then after that, I graduated my associates from the College of Southern Maryland, and then I transferred to Coppin State University. One, one, because they accepted me on site.
That's
2,
what's up.
they gave me the most money. And 3, it was the cheapest school.
Hey.
Because, again, I'm paying for school out of pocket. And
That's
I
all
understand,
wins, by the way, though.
Exactly.
For
And
sure.
so, and I understand that education plays into capitalism in a way of, I didn't want to be enslaved through these loans again. And so that's how I always viewed it. Like, I was not doing that. Coppin, the illustrious Coppin State University. Coppin has a special place in my heart, on North Ave, on the real avenue. Like, that's
If you say the avenue.
on the avenue,
Okay.
yes, on North Ave.
Okay.
I was an education major. I was the president of our education association. And for me, I was really, at first I was disappointed that I went to Coppin, because I felt like we didn't have enough opportunities, nor do we have the same opportunities as our surrounding schools like Towson, UMD, even the College of Arts that was down there, Johns Hopkins. There's so many universities right there in that little Baltimore sector. Even Morgan, but Morgan was a private sector. And that
Right.
goes back to history, because they did the right thing. But that's another thing.
Okay.
So I became the president of our education association, and I started creating those opportunities for myself and for other educators. And when I talk about opportunities, I'm talking about, we were now taking trips to Frostburg. Kids from Frostburg were coming to Baltimore, and we were swapping and teaching.
Wow.
It was then that I really got pissed, because Frostburg is an area where they have just as much crime and drug rate as us. The prison is right there. But they're white. It's mostly white.
Okay.
And so their schools were still fully funded.
Okay.
They had just as much Section 8 as us, but their schools were still fully funded, because everybody used to tell me, and I used to think, and I believe the politicians, oh, it's because, a lot of your surroundings, the housing around your school, you get your money from your school through taxes. Mostly housing property taxes. And so if everyone's staying in an apartment, then these apartments are also Section 8, you can't depend on that tax money to come back to the school.
Got you.
But that's not the truth, because when I went to Frostburg and I seen how these white children, parents were on drugs, were locked up, they were all farm students, which means they were getting free and reduced meals, but they had way more opportunities. When I came, they were about to take a 2-week-long trip where they were sending students to China for 2 weeks because they were in the Chinese immersion program. You don't see that in the city. You don't see that in Prince George's County.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's when I started, whoa.
Like,
And
yeah,
really
had to
started
double
looking.
back.
That's when I first became interested in policy. And so when I got home, it was like, all right, as a student at Coppin, as someone knowing that as a student, I'm getting less than the other students around me, but also the students that I'm serving while I'm a student, because I was teaching then
Right.
too. How do I help us all? And so through advocacy that way, I started fighting for the Kerwin Commission, which passed. And then I became heavily involved on the Maryland HBCU lawsuit,
Okay.
which passed,
Right.
which we won. We got that money for Bowie, University, Maryland Eastern Shore, Coppin, and Morgan.
Yeah.
Because
Shout out to Bowie State University.
yes,
I went there,
okay,
you know what I'm
alum,
saying? Yeah.
Maryland
alum.
HBCU alumni.
Yeah.
Okay, and that whole lawsuit to me was sick. That lawsuit, it took 14 years for them to solve that lawsuit. And I'm glad it was done in my time, because there were people who started this lawsuit who have literally died. And it still was not resolved. And it didn't matter if our governor was black or white, because O'Malley had the reins to end that, and he didn't.
Right.
And all that lawsuit was that our schools were historically and purposely being underfunded, and our programs were being duplicated. For the longest time, if you wanted to get a teaching degree, you had to go to Coppin. Certain things with engineering, you had to go to Morgan. You know, our schools had our specialties, and then these PWIs come in, take our specialty programs, really copy our programs verbatim, and then offer black kids scholarships to go to their schools.
Wow.
So it's like wiping us out in the most systemic way possible.
Yeah, and I think some people weren't aware of that. Like I said, you just broke something down you feel what I'm saying? Like, you gotta learn. So I just learned something, because like I feel like when people say the system is by design, I guess you just really went into that for real.
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
was
wow.
that. That's how they designed it in that
Yeah.
way. And it's still happening. Even in the middle of the lawsuit, oh my gosh, I was so mad. Even while we were fighting in the middle of the lawsuit, Coppin was supposed to be rewarded a couple of $1 million to enhance their policing program, which I wasn't really here for, but I wasn't against. Because what I understood about Coppin and Coppin's policing was that it was black men, black students, and we never had no issues on campus.
Got you.
Period. And those are the same people who were teaching the students. So the same men that were patrolling our campus were the same professors in those classrooms.
Got you.
So instead of giving the money to a program that already had professors, that already had the enrollment, that already had a program, they decided to give the money to UMB to start their program, to pretty much break grounds for a building. And I said, and that's that shit. Talking about. Like, we literally just got into a whole fight in this, and here y'all are doing it still. So, yeah.
It's hard. I mean, I think, you know, to wear multiple hats, because I feel like that's what you do. Like, you wear multiple hats. Like, one day is, all right, cool, you know, I got my educator hat. Another day is, oh, I got my act, you know, like, you know, I'm really doing this now. Like, so many hats that you wear. What does self-care look like for you? That's what I really want to know, because it's like, you do so much. So, like, what does self-care look like for you?
It's so funny when people ask me that, because it's just like, self-care for me is really when I kind of I go into moments where I cut everybody off.
Okay.
Like, I just go in my little shell, like a little turtle. I go in my little shell for a little bit. I'm in my house doing whatever I want. It's literally doing whatever I want for me.
Right.
And that's what self-care looks like for me. I'm big on massages.
Okay.
Because holistically, that is a way of rejuvenating your body.
Right.
And I'm a crystal wearer. So, yeah, shout out to Synergy and Serenity, Black owned, Black woman owned. I'll keep a tiger's eye, some pyrite on. So,
that's what's up.
Yeah, self-care for me is my daily affirmations, my meditation, and really just boxing myself in sometimes, cutting myself out of the equation.
Got you.
And popping back in when I'm ready.
Right. Nah, I ain't gonna lie, because I know, like, you know, with self-care, it looks different for people. Like, I know I'm always active, I'm always on the go, so it's hard to slow down for me. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, okay, well, this got to get done, so I'm a goal-oriented person. If I got to meet this goal, I got to meet this goal. So that's why I'm saying, like, I know for you, it's like, wow, you're doing so many things, and it's like, do you even get the time, Miss Kayla? Do you even get the time?
You make the time. One thing I learned in therapy, and all Black people should go to therapy.
Okay, that's cool.
One thing that I learned in therapy, because I used to be like, yo, my self-care, I'm about to book a trip, right? She was like, if you have to escape fully like that, that's not self-care. Like, of course, you should go on that trip, but we really have to start thinking on the means of what can we do every day to preserve ourselves, because preservation is an act of resistance. If we are not here to do the work won't get done. So we do have to preserve ourselves. I believe it was Audre Lorde that said that perseverance is an act of what did I just say? That's so bad. But no, perseverance is a act of activism. Yes.
Okay, because I'm about to say, it's a lot going on right now. So, you know, like, with me in news, like, I watch it to be informed, but I don't try to, you know, pay too much attention to it. And I feel like right now, like, this notion of these cases, these trials, Rikers Island, that situation, like, seeing pictures of that, it was sickening to me. And I'm just like, wow, like, how or even why? So I didn't even really try to entertain it as much. But just to pick your brain about it, like, what did you think, like, when you saw it?
So, you know, I stand tall for my incarcerated people. Free them. Free them. Especially when I saw those pictures of Rikers Island, like, my stomach started hurting. Because, first of all, we're still in the midst of a pandemic, along with just inhumane. It's just very inhumane. But what do you expect? Like, prisons are a multi-billion industry. And it was never to reform people. You know what I'm saying? It was never, this is a place you're going to get help. No, you are here to do nothing but be profited off of. So I wasn't surprised. I wasn't shocked. I was just disgusted. And all I can say is just, like, moving forward as a Black community, one, we got to really know our rights and know what we can do as Black people to help our incarcerated brothers and sisters. If you know anybody that is going to trial, anybody that is going in front of a judge, we need to start writing letters for those people. That's something I actively do. That's something my organization does. Write letters, especially if they are innocent. Especially if they're innocent. Even if they're not innocent, write letters, because I'm sorry, drug charges is just like, pack it up, especially if it's weed. Pack it up. Write them letters for them. They need to be home. Rikers Island has always been known to be one of the worst prisons.
Yeah, I mean,
So
'cause
that's
just
why I
wanted to ask.
wasn't shocked, just heavily disgusted. It made me feel like, oh, I wish I could do more, right?
Yeah.
But, once you start trying to abolish the prisons, that's when they start trying to kill you and stuff. So,
Yeah, you gotta just be safe and just do what you need to do.
You
I'm
gotta
gonna
be-
stay in my lane
so
over
I'm
here.
like, I'm just trying to
Yeah,
keep
I
y'all
ain't gotta go
out.
through
How
it,
can
yeah.
I get y'all out?
Yeah, right. Nah, because I feel like, it's so many things that, could affect us. Like, I know through the pandemic for me, even hearing about, like, the George Floyd, Breonna Taylor situations, like, all these situations, I look at my skin tone, I'm like, I'm a black man. Like, this could be me, and I'm just like, okay, well,
Facts.
let me just continue to, be optimistic, have my, affirmations, and just, realign myself with what makes sense. Like, don't try to do too much. Don't try to overthink. Don't try to overreact. It's okay. It's purpose in what you're doing. This is not, something that's going to derail you from your goal or your purpose or whatever. So, I mean, for me, it was a lot of turmoil. And I'm not going to lie, that probably angered me a lot. The Breonna Taylor situation and the George Floyd situation. And, people now in a sensitive space or a sensitive time just expressing themselves like this notion of, vaccinated versus unvaxxed. Like,
gosh,
I'm
yes.
big on sports, so with Kyrie Irving and Aaron Rodgers, I was like, okay, Aaron Rodgers doesn't take the vaccine. And then Kyrie Irving doesn't want to take the vaccine, but everybody's on Kyrie's back, but nobody's on Aaron Rodgers' back. So it was just interesting to me and how it's really became political. And I never really thought sports would be in this
Everything
place,
is
but
political.
everything is political. So it's like, why is everything so political? I wanted it to be like, what?
Oh my gosh. So that used to be my biggest pet peeve. So, especially teaching and mentoring and in the hood. I just be very transparent. When they be like, I'm not paying attention to the politics, it doesn't affect me. I'm like, the fact that y'all are staying in Section 8 houses, that you live next to an abandoned building, that you don't have a grocery store over here. Everything you just complained about was political as hell.
Right, I got
So
you.
you may not participate in it, but you are a participant.
Right, okay. I got what you're saying. I got what you're saying.
You may not actively go out to vote, but
Yeah.
it's happening to you, whether you recognize it or
Or
not.
not,
And
yeah,
that's
we
why
have
I
to be
said we
mindful
all,
of it.
everything is political. And that used to be my biggest thing when they be like, keep politics out the classroom. Why?
Yeah.
Because the salary that I make is political. The amount of materials that we get or don't get is political. So why would I keep that out the classroom? It's like, okay, just keep hiding the truth. Is how I see it. But sports, I've always felt some type of way about
Okay.
sports. I'm not gonna lie. So I was a huge football fan, like all my life. I'm still a Washington football fan
Okay.
of heart, but I've learned to fall back, and that's something the movement taught me.
Okay.
I'm gonna say the movement validated. When I was in college, a really close friend of mine was playing for Towson, and the way that them football players were treated, like, it was sickening.
Oh, okay.
It was very sickening, and it was always for profit. And I was just like, damn, y'all niggas is enslaved too. Like, just for education, like
Right.
for another piece of paper. It wasn't a monetary piece of paper. It was that piece of paper to say that you are now educated. And so that was the first time I started realizing how political sports really is
Okay.
and how nasty it could be, because I was watching white football players go out, act a fool, and be escorted out nicely by police officers and be able to go to practice the next day.
Right.
But if it was the black kids,
Right.
they are now being thrown to the ground, whether they was a football player or not.
not.
And if your coach messed with you hard enough, they would come and bail you out. But
Right.
it was just like, it got really interesting.
Right.
It got really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, and it's just because I just think the space that we're in, it's like, okay, well, everybody's entitled to their opinion.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, everybody has their opinion. It's okay. Like, and it's not, there's nothing wrong with trying to be informed. I feel like information is the best thing because we're in the information age. And the more that they hide, the more you're going to have to seek and discover, right? But it's like, who do you go to for the information or, things like that. So, as far as, the activism and what you have done, like, what more is there on your to-do list? Because I feel like you've done so much already. Like, what more would there be to do on your to-do list?
On my to-do list, it is a dream of mine to be able to be a full-time activist. If I could run my profit full-time and still live comfortably. Because I'm not going to lie, I have not an expensive lifestyle, but I know what I like.
Yeah, you know
And
what you like. You're entitled to what you like.
Yes,
If you
and I feel
deserve
like
finer
everybody's
things, you deserve
entitled to that.
Right.
And I'm going to always support a black business first. So
Yeah, for sure.
Don't get it wrong.
Yeah, I got you.
I would love to be able to run my nonprofit full time or be an advocate, work in advocacy full time. Also, I'm serious. Like, I want to get these kids on trips. Like, first, let's start getting to different states. Hell, let's just get out the city. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And I did that. So next for me, it's like, let's go to a different state. Let's see something different.
Right.
Maybe one day I can take y'all to a different country. Maybe we could really do some real global literacy.
Yeah.
Like, that is my dream. What I also would love to have a drop-in center. Like a real resource center.
Yeah.
Because something that would bother me about a lot of the community centers we have, like, nobody needs another place to go do activities.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I love it for the simple fact that it can be recreational.
Right.
But, like, when we talk about resources that our community needs, I think about community schools and how you can go to what's considered a community school and, yeah, you could go pick up canned goods. They also have a floor where there's real doctors that work there, so you could get checked in. Women who just had children, you can go and get classes and different things on dealing with infants. They give you free milk, diapers.
Yeah.
Like, I want to do a real community center in that aspect, not just like, today we got yoga, tomorrow you can come make
I got what you're saying.
fun activity. You know what I'm saying? But like a real community resource center with a garden.
Yeah, you said with a garden, yeah.
Yes, I'm big on the agriculture and gardening. Yeah.
Now, I feel you on that because I know, for me, like, when I think of a community center, I know that, back in the day, it's obviously like, okay, a rec center where you're going to play ball, you're doing some type of activity. But I'd look at it now as like, all right, cool, like, all right, well, maybe, let's put, some finance there. Let's put some of these things there where not only kids can get there, but, the adults as well, so that way they can learn and grow together. I know people talk about, yoga and things like that, but incorporate it with, kid and adult, so that way they understand that connection too, because a lot of the kids, may want to do entrepreneurship. Okay, have workshops for that, or, what have you. So we have to really present it in a way where it's resourceful, where, okay, they can go here to do this. They can do X, Y, and Z, and it's all right here, as opposed to, all right, well, you live in this side of the town, you got to drive 30 minutes away or whatever and go out your way to find what you need.
Something important that you just said is something for the kids and the parents, because we've lost hindsight on how important intergenerational relationships are. And I feel like that's why our generations are a little screwed. I ain't gonna lie. We're very distant from each other. Like, I cannot stand when older folks be like, you millennials. I'm like, well, we learned it from you.
Yeah.
or it was something you did not teach us. So intergenerational relationships is a really big thing, because that is sustainability within the Black culture.
Right.
Of really being able to understand each other, taking away what worked and fixing what didn't. We need more of that. And in order to do that, I don't want to say like mommy and me classes, because not everybody has a mommy, but like real time for our youth and our older folks, no matter how old you are. Like, we have to all come together to be able to do stuff together. So I like that you just said that.
Yeah, for real. I mean, that's what I really think when we talk about unity in the community. Like, it's a lot of people that may have, this notion of personal gain. But I'm thinking that also on a bigger note, like if it's a community thing, it has to make sense. It has to make sense. It has to align, right? So I just think that, shout outs to everybody that does community work. Everybody that does it, I salute you. All the educators, I salute you. It's a hard job to do. It is very, very hard. I would just say the more patient you are, just continue to be patient, right? Because I know sometimes your patience can run out. You could run out of extended grace, and you'd be like, I'm tired. Hey, look, but it's the notion of having patience and staying the course and seeing it through. And, shout outs to everybody that's active in the community, because, it takes a village, but it takes, that individual to take that step first. Because a lot of people want to sit back and, relax and have it come to them. But there's some people like, nah, you know what? I'm going to go get it.
You got to go get it.
And you're a go-getter.
Yes.
That's what I can say about you. You are really a go-getter.
Thank you. It's funny. I had a conversation with someone. We used to organize together. We had to realize why we weren't good as a partner. I said, because I'm a person, I'm a go-getter. And some people will sit back and be like, I'm going to let God handle it and I'm going to let him do the work, which I get and I understand. But I also feel like you got to push that seed too, and God will take care of the rest as well. So to all my go-getters and to all my people that know how to gracefully wait for your opportunity too, it's all valuable.
Right. And that's dope. And I mean, that's a transparent moment too, like you just said, because it's like, sometimes you may have rocks in the road, people that you may not see eye to eye with, but you just, you keep going. Like, it's different versions of you. Like, I know for myself, like, it's people that, have seen me in different lights. And they're like, wow, like, this may be surprising, this may be alarming, but no, this is me.
This is me.
And I tell people all the time, like, even with me, walking in this light now, like, people can expect so much from you. I'm learning not to expect myself from others. Because it's like, that's
the gem.
Nah, for real though.
You
because
cannot
it's like, you
expect
can't.
yourself from others. You will be highly disappointed every
single time. Right.
Every
so it's
single
just like,
time.
because I know how goal-oriented I am. I know how I work. I know how I operate. So it's like, if this is, my vision or this is what I want to do, I can't expect you to want it just as bad as I do.
Or want to get there the same way
I want to, right?
Yeah.
So that's why I'm just like, that's what I'm learning too, and it's a lot. It's a lot, but I maintain and I manage and I read books. So shout out to 48 Laws of Power. That's one of my favorite books. I'm not gonna lie, like I read. It took me a month and a half because it's a long book. I like to digest when I read, so I read chapters. But yeah.
So that's a book. That is a powerful book. That's one book that I've read. I've read that book a couple of times, but I also have the audio version because I like to just sit and listen to it.
Okay.
Too. That book.
It's a lot in there.
It is,
it's
but
heavy.
I'm like, if this book gets in the wrong hands, this could be really.
This could be really dangerous.
This could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Because I don't agree with everything, but the basis of how to move.
Right.
When you got a little bit of power and when you're trying to obtain power.
Right.
I can't say he said anything wrong. It's just like, wow. But, you got to take it with a grain of salt.
Yeah, that too. I mean, and like I said, with books, I mean, I feel like, the information is there, but knowledge is nothing without application. And I feel like, for you, you've really taken all the knowledge that you received ever since, your early stages up until now and applied it in probably different ways and different, forms. And you surround yourself with people you can learn from. I love that when you mentioned concerned citizens, how everybody brought something to the table and brings something to the table on a daily basis because you guys are adding value to a situation.
Yeah.
As opposed to being like, okay, well, you know what? You're going to do this and I don't have to do anything. Like, you guys hold each other accountable too. And I think accountability is the biggest thing too.
Yeah, accountability.
It's
funny. People talk about accountability, but...
Yeah,
we gotta understand what that really looks like in our community too.
It's hard. It's hard and it's rough because we're like, okay, who do we?
You kind of gotta face yourself.
That too.
In order to be accountable as well, especially if you want to hold somebody else accountable. I always say that a lot of time when I look at leaders, when they don't call somebody else out on something that's wrong, I said, because what are they gonna call you back out on?
Right.
I'm like, is that your reason for not holding somebody accountable? And if it is, then you need to hold yourself accountable.
Right, yeah, that too. And I know it was one thing that I know we had talked about, and you had brought up before. I know we had a conversation about it. Until Freedom, like that connection, how was that?
Oh, Until Freedom, yes. Oh, that's so funny. I actually have my Until Freedom shirt on under here. That was really dope. So we were able to meet Tamika Mallory, Usan, Tiffany, Dina Lofton, who else was out there? Everybody, literally everybody. We went to Louisville to stand in solidarity with Breonna Taylor's family. Until Freedom was there. Our founder, Ty Hobson Powell, was arrested with them. I was there, but I was not going to jail. I have my own. I feel like every time we go to jail and pay bail, I am then funding the police. So I will sit outside and make sure y'all get out. That's just my theory, but I stand in solidarity with everyone who does because that is a sacrifice, and I do understand what it does. But while we were out there in Louisville, man, it was crazy. Until Freedom took care of us, okay? We had food, we were good, but Louisville, Kentucky police, I'm not playing with y'all. I'm not playing with y'all. They were crazy. We literally marched onto a bridge, and within 15 minutes, people was arrested.
Wow.
It was so peaceful, like nothing. We also had shut down some of the Kentucky Derby that day, which, in the white world, that was a big no-no.
That's crazy.
So
hey, you got that real that y'all shut down the Derby? What?
It wasn't. It was the beginning of the Derby. I don't even think the Derby had really started, but people were just starting to come in. And I believe it was them following weeks, and they was just like, no, we nipping this in the bud now, because if y'all think y'all shutting down our horse races,
y'all not doing that.
Messing their money up, and that's what you got to do sometimes. But while we were waiting for some of our comrades to get out of jail, it was so much black joy going on outside. You got your girls twerking. It was music. It was young men playing football in the street. It was people doing art. It was just people camaradeing.
Yeah.
And next thing 12 hop out. Like what I say, it was the craziest thing. 12 pretty much hops out, starts shooting rubber bullets at people, chasing people down. This lady gets hit by a car. They posted it on their Instagram.
Wow.
Like the next day, I was like, oh my God, that's the lady we saw get hit. And as people were running towards the lady to help her and stuff, they started shooting people with rubber bullets. Alea, one of our co-founders too, who was there, she was shot. Sky and I was up against the wall, and then we slept outside the jail that night waiting for our people. But man, Louisville was interesting. But Until Freedom, I have the utmost respect for them. People can say whatever they want, because one thing about advocacy and activism, you can't control the attention that you get. You can't control who listens to you. All you can control is your message, and that's something I thank Tamika for, is standing firm in her womanhood and her blackness and who she is, regardless of the criticism of the outside world. Because everybody thinks, oh, if you're an activist, you shouldn't be doing this, you shouldn't be that. But I'm trying to reach people I don't normally reach. Right. So sometimes I got to do some things that I wouldn't normally do.
Yeah, you got to get comfortable with being uncomfortable.
You got to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And that's really what it boils down to sometimes. And that takes a different type of bravery and a different type of mental set to say, hey, I'm stepping out my uncomfort zone, but don't ever think I stepped away from my cause.
Right.
And that's where real leaders come from. So Until Freedom good with me.
They good with me too. I'm not gonna lie. Like when I saw her,
like when I saw
her, I was just like, I would see her in this light, and I watched some of her episodes, like her podcast, like her being on the podcast and stuff like that. She's an informed person, and she's just trying to make a difference. So I mean, I love to see it. I love to see someone that has a lot of curiosity, who's concerned just like you are.
Mm-hmm. And she's not new to it. Definitely true to it. Like her advocacy is dated back. So Until Freedom is really dope.
For sure. And I know it's one alarming situation right now that's going on, unfortunately, at Howard University.
Woo,
but I wanted to hear your take on it, because for HBCU, right, to have a lot of money, everybody's prideful for going to the homecoming, which we know. For that situation to happen and to see those people literally sleep outside or protest because of housing, how did that make you feel? Because I had to really unpack it. Like, is this really real?
All I could say was, welcome to D.C.
Okay.
So, welcome to D.C. because a lot of those Howard kids, sorry, I do not want to call them students. I do not want to call them kids. They are students. A lot of those Howard students are not from here. So when you hear Howard, and it's called the Mecca, right? You're going to expect the most of the most. But welcome to D.C. Everybody has mold. I have mold in my classroom. And the housing crisis isn't just at Howard. It's the whole DMV right now. You know what I'm saying? But I definitely stand in solidarity, because as students who are paying to go there, you paid for that. You paid to live properly, period.
Yeah, for sure.
And shout out to my girl, Anaya Vines. I love you. Shout out to the Live movement. Like, me and Anaya locked in. That's who is spearheading this whole thing. That's my little sister. Like,
got you. That's what's
I
up.
love Anaya. And you've seen it on my story. I've been out there. Concerned citizens made sure they had heaters, blankets, different things, because we stand in solidarity. Now, and I've had these, and this is why I have no problem saying it, because I'm a very honest person. I keep it transparent. First, I would say I was very upset at the demands originally.
Okay.
Because if we're going to be storming the building and demanding something, why wasn't making sure that all mold was removed was a demand? Why wasn't housing the kids who you guys sent those really cute letters telling them they could take showers in a gym housed? Like, that would have been my demands. But what I loved about Anaya's demands and why it was so strategic was because they were so easy to meet. It's nothing but 2 meetings. and to re-enlist students as the board and trustees, which Howard is one of the only HBCUs at this point that now does not have students a part of their board of trustees.
Got you.
So their demands were they're very, they can be very easily met if you have an administration that really cares about children. And that's what is being shown. And then you also have people like Felicia Rashad, who get on the internet pulling her sister Debbie Allen. After Debbie comes, sees what's going on, here's the students. Then you have people like Felicia, who you have to also understand who's being paid by the establishment, is making comments like, but what if those students' demands are being met and they just want to keep going? That's not the truth. And not to shade her or anything, but after her commentary on what happened with Bill, you knew you couldn't trust Felicia anyway. Like, let's keep it, if we being honest,
Yeah,
like,
just try to be
you
transparent
know,
about it,
it's
right?
really being transparent. Felicia is going to collect her check, and okay, sis, but don't do it at the means of degrading these students
Gotcha.
who have now been out there for 31 days. It's been a month. It's
Yeah.
a month. Okay, I've slept out there twice.
Wow.
And when I say, like, everything works full circle because we did an initiative before Tent City. It literally prepared us for this. This is not Anaya's first time organizing something like this. If anybody can get somebody to camp out, it's Anaya Vines.
That's what's up.
That girl can create a community outside.
Shout outs to her.
any day.
Shout outs to her, though.
She does that every
know,
time.
yeah.
Like, and so there's no reason the students' demands are not met. Admin is looking real dusty right now. But there's also, then I'm also looking at the alumni, like, y'all have all this money.
Yeah, God poured back into the
Y'all
college, too.
y'all all liking pictures. Y'all all want to come up and take pictures for photo ops, but y'all also have the power to house these
Yeah,
students.
they do. They do.
So what are we talking about here? And then it's just understanding that Howard, first of all institutions is just that institution, whether it's a prison or a school, it's an institution. So Howard is another institution. That's what you can't lose sight of. And Howard is HBCU, and all of your money is going to a white family. It is white owned.
Wow.
So that
I
is
just
my
learned something.
take
That's
on
crazy.
Howard
I just learned something.
University.
Hold
Like,
up, hold up.
am I shocked?
Just
Hell
make sure I had to sip
no.
this water real quick. 'Cause-
I'm not
hold on,
shocked
that's a
at
lot.
all.
That's crazy. That's
I'm
wild.
not shocked at all.
I mean, because to me, you know, I was just literally like, I seen it come across, and I'm just like, all right. But it's just the fact that it's been going on for a long time and still going on, and nobody's really, you know, talked about it or addressed it in, you know, DC is like, wow, like, what are these kids doing? Because, you know, like I said, I'm big on the youth, you know, wanting to get their education for sure. It's an HBCU too. And then, of course, you want that experience. So it's like, come on, everybody should be entitled to that. You pay for it, you know, for sure. Man, we talked about it a lot. We
Yeah.
talked about it a lot. Like,
you know,
Kayla
I keep
is
going
a
all
concerned
day.
citizen out here. You hear me? She
Yes,
definitely is.
I can
Like,
talk about
for real. She can
everything.
talk about everything.
Listen.
What are some of your favorite childhood TV shows though? Like, cause like I said, we got to get into that too. I
My
got to do that.
fave is the Proud Family,
The
and
Proud
I'm so
Family?
pressed because I just seen yesterday.
It's coming back,
Yeah,
right? It's coming back, right?
I was like, oh, it's gonna be lit. But it's so funny because I still watch the Proud Family now, and
Right.
there's little things like gems that are dropped inside
Yeah.
that TV show, and I'm like, dang. That was actually racist as hell.
Wow. Right. Yeah. Like,
I'm like,
Proud
oh,
Family is
like,
definitely one.
I promise. It was one episode I was watching the other day, and Penny was like, "What? I don't pay taxes. I'm a Republican."
wow.
And I was like, I said, "Wait, rewind that." Like,
yeah, because
and
it's
so,
like, did I really watch this when I was younger though? That's what I'm saying. Like, this is crazy.
I was like, dang, they was trying to tell us then.
Yeah.
But so Proud Family was definitely one of my faves. I don't know what was wrong with me as a child. This was not a TV show, but I used to watch Roots all the time.
Roots is hard
Like,
to watch.
I
It's
was really
hard.
obsessed with Kizzy.
Okay.
Like,
Okay.
I was really, my mom was like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "Oh my God." Like, and I was emotional too. So I would sit, cry, and watch Roots all the time. Why she didn't just take the DVD? I don't know. Because you know, it's like 12 movies to that one movie.
It is. It is.
After Chicken George is where I pretty much fall. But yes, Roots used to be my,
I mean, for me, I know Proud Family was definitely one. A sitcom, I definitely loved Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
yeah.
Definitely
I
like
watched Martin. Yeah.
You know, what's up? Like, everybody love that. What else? I'm trying to think. Like, I had favorite movies, too. I say Paid in Full was a cool movie.
Two could play that game. I don't know why, but I watched that always as a kid.
Yeah.
Like I was like, she's crazy.
Get Rich or Not Trying was a cool movie.
Yes.
8 Mile is a cool movie. Only reason why is because I want a friend like Cheddar Bob. I'm sorry, like Cheddar Bob was that guy. Hyping up Rabbit like that,
No,
like that's
he
what you would definitely
That's-
want for real. Like
that's a real
definitely,
friend.
that's a real friend right there. Of course, the You Got Serves, the Stomp the Yards,
Yes.
Drumline.
Drumline was dope.
ATL was cool too. Man, it was a couple. But like definitely. But Black Panther to me was different. You know, definitely for the kids to watch it, but for me to watch it too is just really lets me know like, yo, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like just that representation. I just love to see it on screen. Not necessarily all the actors that were big time, but just to let people know that could have been done, and it was.
No, Black Panther was beautiful.
Yeah.
And rest in peace
To Chadwick Boseman.
Chadwick Boseman.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Like,
Yeah,
it
Black
was
Panther
definitely-
gave us. You want to know something? How did you feel about coming to America too?
I ain't like it.
Are you serious?
I ain't really like it. I mean,
I felt
shout
like
outs to the
for-
youngin. Shout outs to the youngin from Northwestern though, because he graduated from there. You know,
Yeah.
I'm big on hometown PG, all that. I'm all for it. But it's like I don't know. It's hard to top the original.
But of course it was hard to top the original, and I wasn't expecting to. First of all, the only movie that was actually good once you had sequels was like Friday. To keep it big.
Okay.
Those are like one of the only. I'm not gonna say the only, but Friday is one of the best Black sequels. Period.
Okay.
But when I think of a sequel, of course, I never think the second one's gonna be good.
Right.
But I actually enjoyed it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna sit there and
I
say
thought it was
bad. Like, if I
good.
gave it out of 5 stars, I'm gonna say
I watch it again.
3.5, maybe.
You went?
I'm big on movies though. I love movies. I went to
would
school
watch
for
it again.
broadcast
I
journalism,
was-
so I'm big on that.
I
like,
thought it was
communication.
going to be champered in that. I'm not gonna lie. So I was happy. I was happy that it was cool. I thought it had a good mix of like how urban it was,
Right. Okay.
how hip. I don't even want to use the word hip. It's so champ, but like, it was. I don't know. I thought it did a good job of mixing today's times with also culture.
Okay. Yeah.
That's
okay.
what
So
I'll
it was
say.
so you would just say that it was a culturally inclined production. Safe to say, per se. Okay. No. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that at all. I'm not mad. Okay.
Yes, I thought
That's
it was good,
cool.
and it made me chuckle.
That's cool.
It was funny.
That's cool. I mean,
thought it was
right
funny.
now, I don't, like I said, when it comes to like TV shows and stuff like that, I watch All American. That's a good show. I
I
like.
started that.
Yeah,
I
All
haven't watched the
American
last
is good.
season.
I
You
had
ever found out
saw.
who his daddy was?
He does.
Okay.
He does.
I
he
said
does.
maybe I'll watch it again.
Yeah, nah, it's really good. Nah, he finds out who he is. All American is good. I watched Kaepernick's show on Netflix. I encourage people to watch that. It was really, really
Everybody
heavy.
keeps telling me I need
It
to watch
was really,
it. I
really
do
heavy.
need to watch
I
it.
mean, I'm surprised you haven't actually.
No,
work
honestly,
that
the
you have
only reason why I haven't, I'm in the process of moving. Well, I moved. Let me just stop saying I'm in the process.
Okay.
I just need to put my TV.
Go ahead and do what you
We
need
have
to
the
do.
Wi-Fi. I really have no excuse other
Yeah,
than
do what you got to do.
Yeah, I
But,
just need to finish setting home up.
Yeah, it's all good. But yeah, definitely, I would say definitely check that out for sure. I'm big on Power.
love Power.
Book. Yeah, that is coming back
No,
November 21st.
don't play with 50.
Yeah, 50's
You
doing
need
it.
something produced.
Yeah, 50's the guy. 50 is the guy for sure. And definitely shout outs to Insecure is back too.
I
for
love
that, yeah.
Insecure.
A lot of people love that show.
I
I'm
love
a
Insecure.
fan of it. I'm a little late to the game. I just started watching it probably like maybe 4 or 5 months ago, but I'm all caught up. So it's okay.
It was this other show that I started watching, and it's gonna blow my mind because I cannot remember the name. I want to say it's called 20s. I think.
20s, it's on BT.
And it's about the Black queer young woman and how she's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
going through.
It's on. Yeah.
I love though that show's funny as hell.
Okay.
Like I really like that show, and I like how everybody carries everything in that
That's
show.
dope.
I like that
'cause,
show a lot.
I think what we need is, as content creators, we also want, shows of representation. So,
Like real
definitely on that.
representation
Yeah.
and like the wittiness.
Yeah, that too.
The wittiness.
That
I
too,
like
because
that
I
a
know,
lot.
with our Wildin' Out, people used to be like, man, that was In Living Color. But, like, Wildin' Out is our In Living Color and things like that, too. So, we talked heavy, though. We talked definitely heavy. I enjoyed this conversation because, like I said, it's just a concerned citizen that came through that just wanted people to be concerned and informed as well, So, any motivation you want to give to the people, out there that's going through a tough time or need some glimpses of hope, because, like like I said, and I told you this, and I stand by it. You are literally the hope dealer for the youth. You really are, and I would tell you that because what you do, your service, your actions, everything aligns, and you literally do it every single day. Even days you may not want to smile, you smile. Days you may not want to show up, you still show up. So I salute that and I commend that 100%.
Thank you so much. It's not much that I want to say. My favorite quote comes from Asada. I love me some Asada Shakur. If you haven't read that book, you need to read Asada.
Okay.
But it is our duty to fight for our freedom. It is our duty to win. We must love each other and protect each other. And we have nothing to lose but our chains. And so whatever you're going through, know that there is a brighter side. Know that stay 10 toes down, keep your head up. And that's so cliche when people say keep your head up, because it is also okay to put your head down, go into your turtle shell, cry, but know to come out. Know to come out.
That's heavy. That's very, very heavy. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to just sit there and say, challenge yourself to be the best version of yourself. Like, you are what you entertain, not attract. Be big on your energy. Be very, very intentional about what you're doing. And it's okay to make a mistake. Fall in love with the process. It's okay. One step at a time. That's all I can really say about that. And, the harder you grind, the bigger you dream. And we out, y'all.